Hello everybody, this is Jeff with Walk and Talk with Warden Jeff. I wanted to tell you a story this morning about my first couple days as the Assistant Warden of Operations at the minimum security facility that I went to. I actually had started at this very minimum security prison as an officer and worked there for 5 years, and then transferred to a high medium and was there for, I don't know, 17, 18 years, and then came back to the minimum security as the Assistant Warden of Operations. So I knew my way around. I knew where I was most, all the time, and still knew a lot of the staff that was there. Of course, a lot of them had retired in that time, and a lot of new staff. Well, as my major one day called, he said, "I'm going to do an inspection, sir. Would you like to walk with me?" He said, "I'm going to walk, to all the buildings and do my inspections." And I had told him before, I said, "If you ever do an inspection, holler at me." I said, "I'd like to go with you. I'd like to look things over, see how things have changed in the last 17 or 18 years. So anyway, we met up in front of the gymnasium. We were standing there and we were talking, shooting the breeze. A couple other officers came up and we were all talking. And all of a sudden we hear this loud scream on the radio. 10-10 in the gym. There's a 10-10 in the gym. We were standing right in front of the gym. Then I heard 10-10 in the gym. Multiple inmates involved. 10-10 meaning fight. So I immediately ran towards the doors. We opened up the doors and ran down there, and there was about 10 inmates down there fighting. They was fighting over a basketball game, of course. Something very important. Of course, what you don't realize maybe is these people bet on everything. So they had money in on these ball games. So it got serious at the end. Well, at least 10 people were fighting. The officer was down there having a heck of a time trying to get them separated. So I went down to where the officer was and helped him get the aggressor. There was a guy that was really being aggressive and trying to fight everybody. And him and I threw the aggressor down to the floor. And I had handcuffs on me. And we got him cuffed and just let him lay there on the floor. There was another guy that was fighting. Two guys. He was fighting two guys at one time. So we went over there to kind of even things out for him. I wasn't on anybody's side, but 2 against 1's not right. So I jumped on one of the inmates and another officer jumped on the other one. Now, mind you, I'm the Assistant Warden of Operations. I have on a suit with my slickety shoes on a gym floor. So I'm skating around there like a guy on tennis shoes on the ice. And we finally got everybody all quelled and taken care of. And we had, I think we had like 8 guys handcuffed at the time. A couple other guys, they were pretty banged up, bleeding. One guy had a broken hand, and a couple guys had, bloody noses and stuff like that. I mean, it was a full-fledged fight. That just doesn't happen in minimum security most of the time. Minimum security is usually pretty laid back, pretty calm, because everybody wants to stay, because that's easy time. I mean, those guys where they were at had it made. Minimum security meant they had free run of the place. Basically, they could go anywhere, anytime they wanted to, except they had to be at certain places for count. So these guys had it made. So it was very unusual to see that many of them want to throw that all away just for a fight for a game. And later on in the investigation, that is what we found out, that they were gambling, betting on basketball. So anyway, gosh, about 10 guys got shipped to high mediums and maximum security prisons after that. But the story is this: when it all got said and done, it was all finished, and we were all doing our incident reports, and I felt just like an old-time lieutenant or a sergeant or an officer involved in all the scruff and all the scuffling. And I was feeling pretty good about myself. And the major come up to me. He said, "Warden," he said, "I appreciate your help." He said, that was a heck of a deal. He said, "That normally doesn't happen." He said, "But now," he said, "I want you to know," he said, "my officers, sergeants, and lieutenants will handle that. You don't need to be in the floor wrestling no more." He said, "I would hate for you to rip those pretty pants up." I said, "Here's the thing, Mage." I said, anytime that there's a fight and it's around me and I got officers involved, and anytime that maybe there's a chance that an officer might be hurt or having trouble with anybody, I said, I'm going to jump in. So you might as well get used to that. And if you need to put somebody on me 8 or 9 hours out of the day to make sure I'm safe, then you can do that. I said, but I am going to be involved if I'm around. I said, if I'm not around, I'm definitely not going to run in the middle of anything and, you know, be the last one there and then try to call shots and everything. But I happened to be there when it all busted out right in front of me, or, you know, behind me there behind the gym doors. I said, I'll just tell you now, I will be there fighting with you guys every minute if I have to. I said, if I wouldn't have had to, I said, it'd been one-on-one. I said, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But it was 10-on-10 with an officer right down there in the middle of them, you know, dodging swings. He just laughed, and we had a big joke about it. And I had known this major for many years, and we laughed about it, and it was funny. Well, it was kind of a lighthearted conversation. It wasn't like he was trying to get on to me or anything like that. But anyway, as the assistant warden of operations, apparently you're not supposed to get involved in any more fights. But I did, and that's just that's just the way it was. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story today. I hope you like, subscribe, and comment on my page, and I hope everybody has a great day. I'm out.